Her lifeless body was found in a closet, covered in what looked like feces, with lice crawling all over her face. This is not an Arkansas case, but I think it's just as important. On April 9th, police responded to the home of Toni McClure and her boyfriend Ryan Smith. Toni and Ryan lived in a home with Toni's kids. I haven't seen how many kids Toni had, but I know she had one that she didn't want. It was 5-year-old Kinsleigh Welty that Toni seemed to take her frustration out on the most, not with physical abuse, but with sheer neglect. I'm not saying that Toni didn't physically abuse Kinsleigh. She might have, but what I see is mostly what I would consider to be neglect. When police found Kinsleigh's body was in a closet that had a dresser in front of it so that Kinsleigh could not escape. When Kinsleigh's body was found, she had lice crawling all over her. They were all over her face. It was a small closet that had feces all over the bottom of it. It had handprints on the walls of it, on the door of it, that looked like they were in feces, like she had touched feces and then the handprint was on the door. There was a strong smell of urine because, like, you're locked in a closet. What else are you going to do? You need to go to the bathroom. You're going to go to the bathroom where you are, right? So you're peeing and pooping on yourself in this very small closet. Kinsleigh was 5 years old when her body was found, but at 5 years old, she weighed less than what she weighed when she was 2 years old. And can you imagine that? Imagine how much your child weighed at 2 years old and then how much they weighed at 5 years old, because their bones grow, right? Their body naturally would grow. But that wasn't true of Kinsleigh. Kinsleigh was taken to a hospital where she was pronounced dead. Her mom and her mom's boyfriend, Toni and Ryan, were both arrested. But there was also a third person that was arrested for the death of Kinsleigh. It was Kinsleigh's grandmother. Kinsleigh's grandmother admitted that Toni told her that she was locking Kinsleigh in a closet for a majority of the day, but she didn't tell anyone else. Tammy Halsey, who was the grandmother, also told other people that she spent a lot of time, like last summer, watching Kinsleigh. And when she watched Kinsleigh, she would duct tape Kinsleigh to her own bed so that Kinsleigh couldn't get up at night. And if that didn't work, she would duct tape her to the blankets and stuff. She would duct tape her legs together so that Kinsleigh couldn't get up from her bed and get food to eat. Imagine how hungry she must have been, and she was being ignored and getting duct taped. Kinsleigh actually had another set of grandparents, Brian and Trisha Welty, that cared for her very much. In fact, they cared for her so much that they were actually given custody of her temporarily on 2 separate occasions when Kinsleigh was taken away from her mother, Toni. What Trisha Welty told newspapers is that they were given custody of her back in 2018 when Kinsleigh was just a baby and Toni McClure was charged with neglect. At that time, the officer said that the home was in one of the worst conditions that he'd ever seen. He noted that the 3-week-old, who would have been Kinsleigh, appeared to be malnourished. So Kinsleigh went to go live with her other grandparents, and Toni McClure spent 21 days in jail. Then about the second time that Kinsleigh came to live with the Weltys, Trisha Welty said, when she came to us the second time, she was bruised from head to toe. She had chunks of hair missing throughout her whole head, and she was given back. She already tried to starve her to death when she was 3 weeks old, and they gave her back. Trisha Welty said that she tried to plead with the Department of Children and Family Services, that she feared for Kinsleigh's safety, and she and her husband both feared that Kinsleigh would die in Toni McClure's care, and they just went ahead and returned Kinsleigh to Toni anyway. And I think you have to wonder, like, how much bad does a person have to do before people are like, you know what, this person just doesn't need to have a child? And it's actually a lot, because I know, especially the state of Arkansas, the goal is always reunification. They can do a lot. You can even SA your own child, and the goal is still like reunification. And why? According to a letter that looks like maybe it was written by a councilman with the city of Indianapolis. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Indiana or familiar at all with Indiana, but the letter is to the director of the Indiana Department of Child Services. And it says, Dear Director Miller, I am writing you with deep concerns and a heavy heart regarding the most recent case involving the neglect death of Kinsleigh Welty, a 5-year-old in Indianapolis, as reported first by Fox 59 News. The details of this heartbreaking incident have shocked and saddened our community, and it is imperative that we take immediate action to address the circumstances surrounding this tragedy. As a counselor serving on the City County Council in Indianapolis, representing the location where this tragedy occurred, I am demanding a full and thorough investigation into this case by the Department of Child Services. It is crucial that we understand how the situation was able to occur and what systemic failures, if any, contributed to the loss of this innocent life. Our community deserves answers, accountability, and justice for the victim. Furthermore, I am requesting detailed information regarding the steps DCS is taking to ensure that similar tragedies are prevented in the future. It is essential that DCS implements robust measures and protocols to identify and address cases of neglect and abuse in a timely and effective manner. Our children are our vulnerable population, and we must do everything in our power to protect them from harm. I urge you to prioritize this matter and provide a prompt and comprehensive response to my request. The safety and well-being of our children should always be our top priority, and we must work together to ensure that no child suffers such a tragic fate again. Thank you for your attention to this urgent matter. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. Now, I will be following this case to see what happens with it. I don't know why, I can't really explain it, but something about cases that involve children just really get to me. I think that they're super important. Every case is important, but cases that involve children, like what did a kid do wrong? You know what I mean? So yeah, I will update if more information becomes available in this case. But as for now, all I can say is that not everybody deserves to have children.